technology, and it can involve anything from propaganda radio broadcasts to drug-assisted subliminal conditioning. Army strategist Steve Metz is concerned that such technology, although still largely theoretical, presents a serious threat to political freedom.
The area of non-lethal weapons that I find the most worrisome are those that are designed not to glue someone to the ground or to make them fall down or even to make them become nauseous, but that could actually alter what they see, believe, perceive.
Influence technologies have been the domain of the highly classified research community, and dollars spent there have yielded nothing which we think has a tactical utility today. However, the potential is remarkable.
Simply because it might be feasible 20 years from now to sedate populations, to create images of opposing leaders and make them say electronically what you want them to say. Is it ethical? Is it desirable?
Most research in the area of influence weapons is classified, but technology has been developed for medical purposes at Canada's Laurentian University, which reveals just how advanced this kind of science is becoming. This man is sitting in a sealed chamber and is about to have electromagnetic waves pumped into different sections of his brain.
You're basically at the mercy of the equipment. Don't try to focus your thoughts on anything that's happening. If it's going to happen, it'll happen on its own, so don't focus. Just let it happen naturally, just relax and enjoy it.
Okay.
Okay?
Professor Michael Persinger makes the extraordinary claim that this technique enables him to influence directly people's thoughts and feelings.
Well, effectively what we do is we try to talk to the neurons, the cells of the brain, and we apply very, very weak but complex magnetic fields through the brain. We can induce different kinds of experiences. So we can induce opiate-like experiences or near-death-like experiences, or even experiences that are associated with sensations such as a sense of a presence.
Dr. Persinger's method involves more than just pumping magnetic signals into the brain. Specific sequences of digital data, he says, can evoke different feelings and ideas, depending on which part of the brain they are designed to affect.
Societies are becoming more sophisticated, and so are the non-lethal weapons for control. The potential application of these kinds of fields, and the realistic applications, would be to influence people without them knowing they're being influenced.
Microwave weapons have already demonstrated how such electromagnetic signals can be transmitted over long distances. So they could be used to affect the minds of many thousands of people simultaneously.
I have concerns that because the West is so determined not to be slapped on the wrist for investigating these things, that they will get investigated by the wrong people, and that the wrong people will be the first people to come up with something in the influence area. And I've done enough research on it that I think that there are technologies that are close within 5 years that we would not like to be subject to.
The ultimate kind of control is controlling people without them knowing they're being controlled. Plastic bullets, other kinds of non-lethal acute weapons, the people know they're being controlled, and as a result they can respond against it. But if a group of people do not know they're being controlled because you're influencing thinking directly, you're influencing memory directly, and the person or the group of people don't know the control has occurred, then you really have total control of the population.
This is a lethal force. We want to change this to a non-lethal force.
From plastic bullets and sticky foam to microwaves and psychological warfare, non-lethal weapons are all, at least in theory, about controlling people without killing them. But it is precisely because they involve a more subtle form of control that they disturb many people.
It enables you to put down really quite major restraints on those people who have grievances while not incurring the sympathy of other people in the population by the obvious evidence of brutality, and not giving rise to international outrage, which might act as a restraint. It enables the forms of democracy to continue while increasingly the life and the reality of democracy is drained out.
I mean, suppose you go out on a demonstration and you get pepper sprayed. It's quite likely you will never go out and demonstrate again. And what kind of society would we have if everyone lived in so much fear of speaking out publicly?
It was captured very well by a former commissioner of the Metropolitan Police when I think it was plastic bullets were issued to the police at the time of the Tottenham disturbances some 10 years ago, who said people have nothing to fear from these weapons if they stay at home.
The downside of using armed force was very evident to police forces in the days when they did not have tear gases at their disposal. The political costs of dispersing mobs with cavalry were enormous. Exactly the same considerations apply to the military. There is a political cost to applying armed force, particularly if there are going to be lots of casualties, especially if there are going to be lots of casualties. Diminish the number of casualties and you've diminished the political costs of intervening somewhere. Maybe it's not such a good thing to encourage the military to think they can go intervening in places where previously the political costs would have stopped them from doing so.
They do tend to extend the ability of, if you like, a new kind of imperialism. Not the old kind of imperialism where our troops were permanently stationed there, but the sort of imperialism which says you should agree to the policies of the World Bank or the IMF or whoever else and not threaten our assets. And if you do, or if you do certain things which we will decide about, then we have methods of coming in and like taking control and installing people that we think are more suitable without provoking the international uproar which an outright, sending in the Marines would do.
The international community, to survive, has got to be able to act against groups that are misbehaving, groups that threaten free trade and rule of law.
There's definitely going to be ethical problems because we have raised questions that have to be answered that no one ever before has had to think about. I'll tell you the most fundamental ethical question that it raises, and one that I hear often, is that if a party has the ability to impose their will without all the ramifications of lethal force, are they more likely to do so?
Highly lethal weapons, like the atom bomb, are so dreadful that countries feel constrained from using them, and they are no good for controlling a troublesome population. Non-lethal weapons are far more useful. Even democratic governments are happy to use them extensively on unarmed citizens. They are the most ingenious and effective instruments for terrorizing and controlling people. How can we defend ourselves against such lovely weapons?
Non-lethals will provide the first real change in the way we comport ourselves internationally and interpersonally in thousands of years. So of course you're going to get resistance. And of course you're going to get confusion. It's different. It's real. The world will never be the same.